greetings to our viewers on this channel, African Science and Tech Review. You are welcome to today's episode, which is a continuation of the classification of the laws of nature. In the last episode, we started by considering the laws of nature, which is like the constitution of nature, the rules, the principles, the policies, the guidelines that are in nature to direct our various activities as humans, how we conduct ourselves among ourselves, how we live our lives to make our lives pleasant, that is to say, our obligations to ourselves, to other persons, to the society generally, and for those who are non-materialists, to God or the Supreme Being, the Creator of everything, including human beings. We considered 4 classifications then, in terms of the written laws, natural laws, experiential laws, and the physical laws. Today we want to continue by introducing 4 other classifications that will help us to understand ourselves vis-a-vis the nature and the rules, the available constitution that have been provided to make the entire universe peaceful for all. So we are going to consider laws we call the variant laws. Of course, when we talk about variant laws, we are also talking of invariant laws, variant versus invariant laws. We are going to talk about moral versus non-moral laws. We are going to talk about individual versus group laws. And we are going to talk about penal versus non-penal laws. I believe you are going to enjoy this episode because the whole purpose of this episode is to first of all present some classifications of the laws of nature. And of course, this is a precursor to what we are going to treat in subsequent episodes, where we are going to now talk about the applications of these laws in our various activities in nature. Please enjoy this episode. Thank you very much. Classification of laws of nature. 5. Of course, LON means laws of nature. And by saying 5, it means that we have considered 4 distinct classifications in an earlier episode. We have considered classification 1, classification 2, classification 3, and classification 4. For those who are just joining us, please, it's recommended that you check the immediate previous episode of this channel for the 4 classifications which we have considered, including written and so on and so forth, physical. Okay. So classification 5, we are talking about variant laws versus invariant laws. Of course, what do we mean by variant laws? We are talking of laws of nature that could still be subject to some variations, to some manipulations, to some interpretations. It is not static per se. So this is like we are saying that the variant laws are like dynamic laws. The invariant laws, they are static. For instance, when we consider the issue of someone killing another person, which is murder, the law pertaining to that is invariant, is static. You are not expected to kill another person. you are not expected to steal what belongs to another person, and so on and so forth. You are expected to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, the variant aspect of the commandment, the laws that I mentioned, like do not kill, love your neighbor, do not steal. Here, we are saying that there could be some attenuation circumstances which will make someone to perform an activities that can be related to the law that have been specified in nature, but which will make your action to still be justifiable. We really need to be careful because it's not, some of these things are not so obvious, but one of the obvious ones is to, for instance, somebody is trying to attack you, to kill you. In self-defense, if you kill the person, you have not contravened the law of do not commit murder. So there are some little variations here and there. And of course, even if the law is invariant, through some metaphysical or physical manipulations, interventions, you could still make the law, the invariant law, to work for you. And that's why we consider the variant versus invariant. Okay? In subsequent episodes, by the time we try to consider various applications of these laws, we will see how these classifications impinge on man, how to deploy these various classifications, to use the various classifications to explain the activities of human beings on earth. We move to the next classification, which we call classification number 6. Here, we are talking about moral versus non-moral classifications. By moral classification, we are talking about the rules of conduct, the rules of nature, the Constitution, the aspects of the Constitution which talks about behavior of human beings with respect to the conduct, how to do things in such a way that you don't infringe on, what others are doing. You don't infringe on the laws, the rights of other persons. So the moral law takes care of that, and then the non-moral, they could be economic, for instance, they could be health-related in terms of healing, longevity, and so on and so forth. We need to take note and, recall that when we talk about the laws of nature, we are talking of the totalities, like the constitution of nature, the laws, the policies, the guidelines. Some of these laws are tied to the rules of men, but some of the laws have been static. And even those that are static can still be subject to some dynamism. Please bear with me the way I've explained all this. In our subsequent episode, we are going to clarify some of these general precepts, general rules, general presentations. We can also talk about classification number 7 here in terms of the laws of nature which pertain to individuals and those which pertain to a group or society. By individual, we are just talking about the laws of nature which give direction to an individual on how you can live a healthy life, a prosperous life, a fruitful life, a life that you are going to have a peace of mind. Okay? We are not using any specific religion to illustrate. our discussions, but of course with time we are going to open up on the various codified rules as available to the various religions in the world, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, even fringe religions like Baha'i faith, Ekanka, Great Message, and so on and so forth. As we said in earlier episodes, we have some things that are common in these various religions, and we have some that are not common. Among those things that are common, we have some that are exactly almost the same, and some that look alike. So, but this channel is about universal truth. We want to, separate the wheat from the chaff. We want to see the extent to which we can regard a particular religion or systems of belief, the system of belief, to be consistent with the rules of nature, with the laws of nature, with the constitution of nature, so that we can have peace in the world, so that we can have good brotherliness, so that people can relate peacefully, and of course, you can really be sure to a large extent that what you are really embracing, is consistent with the rules of nature. So we can talk about, with respect to Law 6, Law 7, individual by groups of society, the laws which relate to group of society. Of course, we need to point out at this juncture that as much as possible, when you belong to a group or a society, and then there are laws that the society has, the society has its own constitution, and as long as the constitution is not in diametrically opposed position to the general constitution of nature, the laws are valid. So it's only just like you have the general constitution of a country, then you have some bylaws. Once you have the bylaws, aspects of bylaws that are inconsistent with the constitution is the override, the general guiding principle for the entity. So when you have some bylaws that go contrary to the constitution, the bylaws have to be suspended, and the constitution will prevail. So we can also talk about classification number 8, and we are saying that it could be penal or non-penal. Penal in terms of the aspect of the constitution of the laws of nature, which talks about punishment for whatever infractions that have been committed. And of course, the aspect that does not relate to punishment. If you look at case studies, the various holy books, you can really extract aspects of those books that relate to punishment. Okay. Then we can also talk about the classification number 9. And simply put, we just want to consider the laws that are popular and those that are not popular. Of course, the constitution, a law, may be popular or may not be popular. Let's just use a simple description. We know that there are so many religions on earth, so many systems of operation, but there are still some that are popular, so to say, or more popular than the other. Okay? There are some religions, for instance, that have large population. If you carry out census, they have large population, or they are religions that people, different persons in different regions, different parts of the world embrace. Now, we need to be careful. The mere fact that a large number of persons have embraced a particular system, a theological or social system, does not necessarily mean that that system is actually correct consistent or correct or consistent with the laws of nature. It doesn't follow that way. Popularity does not absolutely define correctness. It's possible something is popular and yet it is not absolutely justifiable. So the fringe religions are not necessarily condemnable. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are not universally true. Because what is popular depends on so many factors, and it's just like talking about politics. That somebody is popular in politics, for instance, or somebody is voted for, does not necessarily translate to the fact that that person can be explained to be a person who is morally right, or who is the person, the best person, or who is the person that deserves that particular post, or so and so forth. So, because it just means that the person has done some things to win the favor of a large number of people. And winning the favor of a large number of people does not necessarily translate to mean that the person and all those who are on that side, who are supporting the person, they are the ones that are right. All these are things that relate to nature. They are not things that we can use to justify any particular fact. I believe you have enjoyed today's episode, which is the concluding part of the classification of the laws of nature. In the next episode, we are going to look into the various laws of nature as they impinge on science, theology, and philosophy. We need to recall that this channel is focused on the interrelationship among science, theology, and philosophy. So we are going to be considering in the subsequent episodes what we can call the laws of science, the laws of theology, and the laws of philosophy. And of course, how they impinge, how they affect one another, and the applications of all these laws to our daily living. The essence of this consideration is to enable us to live a fulfilling and enjoyable, a peaceful life in which you can talk about self-actualization, in which amidst the limitations in nature, each and everyone can still be happy because he or she knows that he is in line with the divine laws, the divine principles, the laws of nature, and that he is not going astray. I wish to thank you for watching, staying tuned to this channel, and we promise you we will continue to have interesting episodes on this channel. We welcome your comments at any time, and we hope to continue to address whatever issues that our listeners are raising. Once again, we appreciate you. Join us in the next episode. Thank you very much.